Hello and welcome to the TT Podcast, the podcast where we talk to one person from the world of the TT to discuss their lives, their journey and their ambitions with the greatest motorsporting event in the world. And alongside me, as ever, it's my old mucker, Steve Plater. How do, Steve?
How are you, mate? Good?
I don't think you've ever asked me how I am. Oh, I'm brilliant. Yeah, I'm really good. Are you?
Heartfelt feelings.
It genuinely is. Are you good?
No, good, actually. Busy, flat out, but no, great.
This is the first time in this podcast, in the official, the more formal setting of sitting down with a guest, that we have somebody on that we've had on in the past. Davey Todd. We spoke to him prior to TT 2022, and he was one of the first few guests that we had on. It's going to be interesting to get him back in the hot seat to discuss what's been going on the past few years, and obviously more recently, his, let's not call it a split, but a separation between him and the Pritchard's team.
Yeah, it's all changed. He's had highs and lows, but he's moved on from the Malenko by Pritchard's team. But we need to ask him.
Where's he going?
The story.
MotoGP? I mean, there's a few Hondas up for grabs there, isn't there, probably? Get a cheap one of them, wouldn't you, at MotoGP?
Well, it's a nice thought, but I would say no.
Well, if he ever turns up, because he's already 40 minutes late, let's see if we get him on. Oh, Davey, welcome back to the podcast. We've had you on before. Second time, two-timer.
Two-timer, yeah. I'm very pleased that I'm the first person you wanted back.
And it's only because you never made sense first time.
I'd say, we went through the whole list of everybody, and then we eventually got to you, and we're like, oh, it's the dregs, but we'll take it.
How long has it been?
It was prior.
Since we recorded. You was one of the first, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was prior to TT 2022.
Was it?
Yeah. So we were just gearing up to get back to the TT after like 3 years off, essentially.
Wow.
And a lot has happened since then.
A lot has happened, yeah. I didn't realise it'd been that long, to be honest.
I don't even know where to start with this conversation, because most people know your story of how you got into bikes, and if they haven't, they can go back and listen to the first podcast. Because I think what's happened between the last time you came in and now, there's more than enough to talk about.
Stacks.
The question on everybody's lips right now, where, you've just made the announcement that you've moved away from Pritchard's.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people know, and I did put in when I released the news on YouTube, actually, that it was exciting times, because I was going to be sort of announcing what was happening at very latest at Cadwell BSB, but now that plan's changed a little bit, so it's a bit of a nightmare, because people...
Let's stop it there then.
Go on then.
Let's start where we finished. 2022. What a year.
Yeah.
Superstock champion.
Yeah. It was mental year, 22. I honestly can't think of a thing really that didn't go really well. Even when places that we didn't win, Northwest finished second in every race, and I'd love to say, I was gutted. That I didn't get the win, but I battled for the win in every single race. It was never a distant second. It was never far away. Got 2 lap records, and battled literally to the last corner for the win in every class. Unfortunately, got beat every time, but other than that,
it was a massive step up though, weren't it? You were going from kind of being top 5 to now you're competing for wins.
Yeah. 22 changed a lot for me. The biggest thing I think everybody expected me to perform on the roads. That's been sort of building, but what I've been pushing for a long time is a career in short circuits as well. And after asking so many teams over the years, everybody goes, stick to the road, stick with TT, what you're good at, and weren't necessarily interested in giving me an opportunity at short circuits. So it was was really cool to get given the opportunity from Clive and the Paget's team to do British Superstock in 2022, and knew it was going to be a learning year, but to come out winning the championship was pretty cool, to be honest.
Why wouldn't teams give you the opportunity to go into short circuit? Did they just not think you were good enough for it?
To be honest, and I spoke to a few of them since who, after last year, a few of them wanted to sign me, you know, and they were like, well, to be honest, like, you'd not done anything.
Yeah.
I guess I hadn't done anything before that. I had 1 year of racing on a short circuit in my life before doing the roads. In 2016, I raced Superstock 600 at BSB, just on my own with my brother and my granddad, my dad when he wasn't working. Just like a little family team. Won 2 races, but ended up like 6th in the championship and was a bit all over the place. But when you're trying to convince a team that you should sign me to be competitive in Superstock 1000 and I think I can win the championship, they go, why do you think that? Because you've never even raced Superstock 1000 in your life. How can you even say that? And I don't know, because I did argue that point, saying I believe I can be competitive for the championship.
But every man and his dog says that, right?
Yeah, I guess everyone says that.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know how, but anytime I rode, I thought, you know what, I can be competitive. I raced with all the superbike guys on the roads, and it's riding a bike, innit? Like, I don't know, everything that I've ever done in my career, from being a kid, racing motocross, racing supermoto, it never took long to like adapt. I just sort of jumped in at the deep end with a supermoto straight into the British Championship and was battling for the championship in like my second year. So just I always find that's the best way for me, jumping at the deep end and just learn to swim and like figure it out. Yeah. So
was it easy or hard winning the Superstock?
It's not easy. Superstock is definitely not easy. It's a mega competitive championship, but second half of the year, it just slots into place. You'll have had it yourself. When things are going right, it is easy. It feels easy, and there was times I got overconfident with it, and you have to like rein yourself back in. Even before I'd won my first race last year, because it just built and got stronger and stronger as the season went on. But Cadwell Park for me was a moment where I thought, this is it now. Like, I've figured it out.
Which is 2/3 of the way through the championship.
Yeah, well, it's about just after. It was about halfway, because it was a bit earlier in the championship last year to what it was this year, I think. Yeah, it was like round 5, 6. It was like, it was just about smack bang in the middle, and by that stage I had like loads of podiums, but I like led so many laps, but never managed to get like the win across the line. I had seconds, but qualifying let me down a lot, and being a bit steadier in free practice had let me down a little bit, because I'd just be them steps behind some of the other guys. But yeah, Cadwell, I felt like I could turn it around. I went out in practice, like rode quite hard in practice, top practice, I think, first or second, and then qualifying, I knew I had a bunch more. With a little change to the setup, I knew I could do a lot more than I did. So I was really confident going into qualifying. Just went out, I think I did 2 laps, and like usually I'd be the guy that stays out there for the full qualifying session, just going lap after lap after lap to go quicker. And I've never been able to just go out and do a single lap sort of thing. And that's where I felt like I got it figured out. Just went out, did an out lap, 1 flying lap, pulled in, was like 1.7, like nearly 2 seconds a lap quicker than anybody at the time, and just sat in the pits like smirking a little bit, thinking, I've got this figured out now. And next thing, I should have seen it coming, really. Billy McConnell's, like, he can put a lap together, serious rider, and who I ended up battling for the championship with. And next thing, like, I think they got, Charlie Nesbitt maybe got within 1.5 or something. I was like, massive gap, you know, with that sort of gap, you're safe. Next thing, I'm like looking at the board, chatting to the team, thinking I don't even have to go out and do any more laps. And then next thing I dropped to second, and Billy's put a lap in after 8 laps or something, as he does. And I'm like, right, get the warmers off, get back out there. I can go faster. And like, I thought I genuinely can like go a bit quicker, and went out there. And coming from the motocross background, I always go massive over the mountain, and sent a massive one. Like, was riding real aggressive and whacked the throttle open in the air like you do on a motocross bike, and it ripped the chain off. So ended up P2, but I'm like, I've got this. Like, I've figured it out. I can go out and do a lap, and I felt really comfortable on a short circuit to go out there. And then ended up second in the race. I got in a battle with Charlie, but then you're sort of thinking about the championship a little bit, and he ran into the side of me a couple of times, and I was like, you know what, you have that. Like, we both broke the lap record, and it was a good race anyway. But the next one was like the finish of that, the Snetterton, where FP1, FP2 qualifying, and the race P1 in every session. And we had a bit of bike trouble as well in the race, and ended up having like a much slower bike. But I was like, I'm not losing this after what we've done, and got my first win of the year. And then it just sort of spirals, doesn't it? When you know you can do it in your head, then that's it. Then
confidence is off of it. Yeah.
But what is it you'd figured out though? Because you've said I figured it out. Was it something in terms of like confidence of going, I'm capable of doing this?
Yeah, I think it's
capable of winning
mentally
championship.
Mentally, it's a lot, and it's something that gets talked about, I feel, a lot in other sports, but not as much in racing. But it's a massive mental game all the time, and it's why you see riders like go on a roll. It's not because they've found a special setting that works from one track to the next track to the next track. It's usually because
they believe they can.
You know, they've won one race, and then they're like, right, that's it. I'm winning the next one because I've won that one. Why can't I? So it's, just got in that mindset a little bit, and knew I could do it. And yeah, we'd fine tune the bike a little bit throughout the year. But for me, it was more learning short circuits, because I've not rode on them since 2016. Like, literally not done, or I've done half a season here and there. Like 17, 18, 19, I literally raced road races only. Like, no short circuits, no nothing, other than like a few laps of Bishop's Court as a track day, like in February or something. Wow, it's peeing down. You know, that was all I sort of got in terms of track riding, and never did a short circuit race. So it's adjusting to that short circuit mentality of like riding on the limit, over the limit, being aggressive, which I like. That really suits me. But years racing on the roads takes it out of you, because you're not going to absolutely drill someone up the inside like you would on a short circuit at the Northwest, at the TT, at the Ulster Grand Prix, you know, and put them into a wall. Like, there's a lot more respect than that, whereas there is no real respect at VSP, especially in Superstock. It's kill or be killed. So getting back into that motocross mentality. It took a little bit, but the confidence as well.
And then, like Steve said, and you said, the role just continued.
Yeah.
Wrapped up the championship.
Yeah, just I think 4 or 5 wins in a row, then 1 second, and the second, it was a sketchy old race, to be honest. The first one at Donington, knew at that point, was leading the championship, and knew we could have wrapped it up that weekend. So it was like being careful while there was like a 7-rider battle for the win.
Yeah. I suppose that's the first time you've experienced that then, isn't it? Fighting for a championship, especially of that magnitude.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, to be honest. Like, a lot of people, like, you get 2 types of people, I feel like. Some that have a lot of pressure and really go downhill with the pressure. And I feel like I've always done better. The more pressure there is, the better I ride. Like, in practice sessions and you go testing, like, I just really struggle to perform under practice conditions when there is nothing on the line.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't just ride round and go fast. I need something there, not financially or not a championship, but pressure of a race, of wanting to win. And
Do you feel it's not competitive enough in practice?
yeah, I think so, because it's not for anything. So why do I have to go fast when it's not for anything? I know you try and change it around, and it needs to be for bike setup, it needs to be for something else, but still in the back of my mind it's not for anything. So as soon as qualifying comes, then I go quick, and then it's a bit late then, and then the race you go quicker. But I'd rather have like 6 races a weekend and first session like they do at Armoy and the little road races, no practice session at all.
Straight
they
to
give you
race.
5 laps of qualifying, so you literally, the first time you in the track is your first lap of qualifying, then you got 4 more laps of qualifying, that's it. To put a lap in for the grid, and then you're out for the race your next session. It's like, that's
Pressure's on.
serious, and it sort of works.
Yeah.
You know, I like that, but
So that confidence, that, you know, winning 22 Superstock and coming through and back-to-back wins and, you know, being on a high, a British Championship, can you translate that to the TT?
I felt it really helped. So it's something that I've been asking for a long time, is that all that practice at BSB translate into Northwest and TTs and everything else. And I really feel like it helped having that start to the season in Superstock last year, then going to the TT. I hit the ground running with my Superstock bike especially, and then we made the Superbike basically just like a fast stocker. Like it wasn't a full-blown super bike like everybody else rides. It was like a fast motor in a stocker basically, because it was what I was used to, the Superstock bike anyway. So it was perfect really, and yeah, it went really well. Got my first podium. The TT wasn't as good as what I should have done. We had the best practice week, first, second or third in every single practice session in 22, and then come the race I only got 1 podium, and I just felt like that was unfair, not, you know, unjust, you know what I mean, from the speed that we actually had.
Yeah.
Should have been a lot better. But when you tire force to bits in the first race, my head went, to be completely honest. I really struggled with confidence for the rest of the week, because, you know, you're riding around there thinking, like, is this going to happen again? Like, and as much as the manufacturer, the team, everybody can tell you, oh, it'll be fine, your head's still like, every single slide I had, which is all the time, riding a big bike around the TT, you're sliding all over the place, but I couldn't slide anymore. As soon as the bike slid a little bit, I rolled off, because I'm like, oh, is that it? Is something happening?
Yeah.
Like, is there an issue? And I still got the first podium, but I was riding terribly. Like, I was riding scared, and that's not good.
Riding tight.
You're really tight, and just not right, like not flowing like I was in practice. So, was really excited to carry on in 23, and knew I could do a lot better. And again, just I feel like got really unlucky. I was so excited because I knew I could do so much more than what we did in 22, given the practice week we'd had, and then the race week I lacked confidence. Went into 23 and plagued with issues again. Just brake issues, which is scary again. It's not the place to have any issue at all and not have the confidence in your bike.
On the Superbike.
Yeah. on the super bike. So I had it all the way through practice. So we never really got a massive flying laps. Was doing like one lap and going, oh, brake was coming back to the bar, or was there sometimes, not sometimes. And, you know, I have to give it to the team. Like, they tried a lot. We tried so many different things and we just couldn't solve it. We tried like 2 or 3 different brake systems, but I think the end of the day, it was actually the bike was so unstable. No matter what brake system we put on it, it wasn't actually a brake issue. It was a stability issue
That was causing the pads to...
that was knocking the pads back.
Yeah.
So tried loads of different brakes, and, you know, Hickey, you know, I think it's publicised that Hickey had the same or similar issues, not quite as bad. He knew that for some reason he knew 3 pumps of the brake and he would definitely have it back by then. Sometimes it took 1, sometimes 2.
Yeah.
Maximum 3 pumps and the brake was back. Where I was going down straights in that first Superbike race on lap 1 and pumping it like 10 times and it's still not there, like all the way down a long straight, and like pumping the lever and it was not there. And still on lap 1, I was in front of Hickey on lap 1. I was sitting like P3 and doing that on every single straightaway because I'd got used to it sort of by then, because I'd had it all the way through practice. Every single night we'd had the same issue, and I'm like, maybe I can ride around this, which is a bit
sketchy.
Look now and go, that's a bit stupid, but like, it's a TT, it comes around once a year, don't want to miss it. I'll do whatever I need to do to ride around whatever issue's going on.
Yeah, I suppose with that, the brake is going to come back eventually. It's just, like you say, it's just a matter of when and what kind of feedback you get from that
I
brake.
guess so. And then how quick's it going to go again? Some straights, you don't have long enough to pump it for ages. Some short straights that are bumpy and they'll knock the pads back, and then they don't come back quick enough before you get to the next corner, which was the issue. Seemingly, for some reason, it got worse from lap 1 to lap 2 every time. We knew that, but I didn't know if it'd get worse than that then. But I discovered that in the first race because we'd never done that long a run in practice and went out in race 1. Lap 1, it was bad, but it was still third and was like, I can make do. Lap 2 got worse, dropped to maybe 4th or 5th or something, and was like, okay, this is not good, but we'll see. I pulled into the pits and I was gonna say to the team, we'll knock it on the head, and then you get into the pits and you're like, I'll just carry on now. Like, it's not in me to quit. It's not in me to give up. Like, I hate that. Like, I could have, you know, the front wheel fall out and I'd try and wheelie the rest of the track. You know, like, I just don't like the giving up thing.
Yeah.
Like, I do, even if I got to slow down, I'll just ride.
Yeah.
And then came out the pits, went into Quarterbridge with no brake at all. So I pumped it out of the pit lane and it was there, and then got to the bottom of Bray Hill. I'm guessing the impact of the bottom of Bray Hill. Since I've watched since TT, I've watched some videos and everybody's so much more stable through the bottom of Bray Hill. And I think I played it down in my own head to the guys when I'd come back in and go, it's a bit unstable, but you watch the footage and it looks
all over.
Really, really unstable compared to everybody else. So, come out the bottom of Bray Hill and then you got a really big braking zone into Quarterbridge, and I'm pumping it, and it's just not coming back. I'm like, dear, I'll have to roll off and like shift down, back brake into Quarterbridge because there was literally nothing. But then come out of Quarterbridge into Braddon and there was a break there. So I'm like, maybe it was just a fluke, and did a couple of corners. It was all right. And this was a problem that scared me a little bit in practice week, because sometimes it was there.
And not consistent.
Yeah, completely inconsistent. And then sometimes you go, okay, feel it, it's there. Go around one corner, go to break into the next corner and it's gone. Like completely gone. Isn't it?
Between corners, shit, yeah.
So
must have been really frustrating for, you know, Clive and the whole team as well, because I know how much effort they put in.
Yeah,
you know, to always have, you know, winning bikes, really quality stuff.
As I say, like, the guy's changed 3 different brake systems on a bike. That's not ideal for any team. Changing discs, changing calipers, mass cylinders, everything. They were working flat out, and I think by the end of the TT, a lot of the guys had well and truly had enough because they'd worked from morning till night every day. Not for nothing, but, you know, after doing tons more work than you should have been doing, and then still it doesn't work, you know, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody. So yeah, it was a tough time. Had that break go, and then lap 3 pulled in out the Superbike race, which Superbike 1 was the one everybody wants, but the big bike races are the ones I was really desperate for. Went quicker in every class, but only by went a lot quicker in the 600, but learned how to ride the 600 better. Went quicker in every class, but it was just not. There's more in there. There's so much more in there, and it's frustrating, I think, for the team and myself.
How does it change the team dynamic throughout the week, the couple of weeks, I guess? Because you're telling them there's a problem, they're going, well, we think it's this, but then they can't find the problem. So you get frustrated, but you're not necessarily frustrated at them, and they're probably getting frustrated at you because it must be really difficult to maintain a friendly relationship when you're like, I need it to work, and they're like, we're trying, but we can't solve it.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and it was frustrating, but I still have the trust in the guys, and they're working so hard to cure it. But obviously, sat on a stand, even if you went testing at Derby, you went testing it anywhere in the world, nothing is any sort of like replica of racing around the TT. Like, there is no way that you can test anywhere for anything like that. You know, not even close. So every time you try something, you're like, it might work, it might not. And to be honest, the relationship didn't change. I have a great relationship with the team, with Clive, with the guys, for sure. They're getting really annoyed during the TT and frustrated with the situation, but they're always awesome with me, and they work so hard. As I say, that was what's probably even more frustrating for you as a rider. You want to win and do well more than anything, but then you want to do it for them because they've put in like so much work. You want to be like, you know what, you've had like 2 weeks of mega hard work. He's a podium, he's a win, you know, like at least that makes up for some of the work, and you know, couldn't even do that. So it was
useless, Davey. Absolutely useless.
Tough 2 weeks, you know, because obviously Connor was ill as well. So
do you think that hindered you then, the fact that you didn't have a teammate there, like in Connor, for those?
Not necessarily. We all sort of do our own thing. It hindered me, Connor, getting ill, because I then got ill for the last 2, didn't I? So the Superstock race, the second Superstock race, I pulled out of because I tried to race. Somehow got past fit. There was a lot of arguing and stuff, and got past fit, and went out for Superstock race, and I couldn't even see, like, to be honest.
A lot of arguing with who?
With a lot of people, with a medical team, with
to get clearance to ride.
With the medical team, with my team, with my family, my friends, my trainer, everybody's there going, please, just, you're not well enough to ride, don't ride. Connor sat out a practice week. He was bad. He spent three days in hospital or something. It must have been the same thing, because I seen Connor when he got well, and then next thing I'm ill, and it wasn't pleasant. I got an anti-sickness injection for that Superstock race, but then that made because I couldn't stop throwing up, basically. But then that made me stop throwing up, but then it was like, it made me a bit dizzy and not I couldn't focus the same, and ride around there when you can't focus to 100%, it's not right. And I pulled off anyway, but then it's like the next day is the senior, and there's no time, there's no time to get better, and still couldn't eat anything, but didn't feel sick anymore. But I went out for that senior, but it was just so weak. Like I just had no energy. Like I'd not eaten then in 3 days, really. Drank water was about all I could do. I had some electrolytes and what have you, but not eating I wasn't sick, but then you just no energy at all. I got to the bottom of Bray Hill and I was like, there's no chance I'm finishing 6 laps round
Sounds
here.
like me when I get to the bottom of the stairs when I'm ill, let alone bottom of Bray Hill. Jesus
so it
Christ.
was, I just thought I'd just keep riding. And
Did you feel like you needed to go out and just prove that you were too ill to do it? Because if you'd have sat on the sideline, you'd have gone, oh, maybe I could have.
Yeah, well, that was always the question in my head. And again, everybody's like, all right, after Superstock, we'll put the bikes in the van. It's fine. You're ill. Sit it out. Don't risk anything. And it's still back to that thing, Mum. Something in my head, I can't just sit out. I can't just give up on something when I might have a chance. Like you said, I wouldn't have been able to just believe that in my head, because I'm like, once the adrenaline gets going, maybe I could have done all right. And so I'm like, just let me try, and then we'll see. And went out and tried my best, but I was like, well, I got 9th or something, which I was like, I don't know how that was possible, considering that literally on lap 1, I'm like, next lap I'm going to pull off, next lap I'm going to pull off, and then sort of said that every single lap, and got to the pits and was like, one more lap, I reckon I can do 3, and did the 3rd, and then I'm like, oh, it's only one more lap to the pit stop, and then got one more lap, got to lap 4, and then it's like 2 laps, I've done 4, just sort of get to the end. And I did rubbish in reality. 9th is not what I'm there to do, but I finished TT. I have to wait 12 months to do it again. Like I'm not missing it. I can't sit on the sideline and watch.
Yeah, that's the other thing, isn't it? You only get to do it once a year. If it's a BSB round, you can sit it out because you can be back
next weekend.
Next weekend,
must be so frustrating off such a high of 22 with everything, to obviously going into 23 to only getting one chance a year and being so kind of demoralised and smashing all that confidence you previously had, out the window. Definitely,
and that was a big part of the move, and fully supported, I have to say, by Clive. Clive's been mega through all of the time that we spent together, including this year, which has been really tough for us both. And I think that's more than anything down to BSB. Moving up to that superbike class, it's not that the guys and the team aren't capable. Like, they've been racing in BSB, not so much, but TT and Roads and BSB for like 50, 60 years and been competitive.
And Grand Prix.
And Grand Prix, and they've done everything. They're so experienced. And, the last few years, stuff's moved on a lot with the electronics, with data, the stuff that you need on the bikes to be competitive in Superbike at BSB. And all that stuff requires a lot of financial budget, so much money for the personnel, for the equipment, for everything. And honestly, a small family-run team. I know everybody gives Padgett's the credit of, a factory team. There's teams, I said this year, honestly, Jamie Coward won the Privateers trophy. That team has more budget than Padgett's, guaranteed. I'd put my house on it. I've just bought, honestly, there's teams there that are called Privateers that it's just because Padgett's have done so well for so many years. People think, they're just masses of money, massive budget, they're a factory team, but they're not. Like, they're doing that off experience, skill, and knowledge and stuff like that. Their results and
passion,
a lot of passion. Clive is obsessive. He loves it. Absolutely obsessed in racing, and that's awesome to be around. An awesome atmosphere to be around. as a racer. Having a
How much did that help you in 22 with all of Clive's experience?
it was brilliant for me to come into BSB on the roads and have that sort of backing of somebody who's so experienced but so passionate, and there's no pressure there. Like, even though it's a really successful historic team, prestigious team, what was the word I was looking for, like, there's no pressure there, and he always reminds you that, just go out there and have fun. Go out there and have fun, whether you sat on the grid for the senior or, he said it while shaking, I think, on the grid at Donington when we it was the race. We could have we did wrap the Superstock Championship up, but he still said it, just go out there and have fun. There's never go out there, you better win or you best smash it. We got sponsors here, we expect you to do the job. It's like, just go and enjoy it, don't worry about it. And you ever not feeling right, like you say, you get ill or you're not yourself today, there's never any aggro with that. It's always like, it's all right, there's another day. He knows how to get the best from a rider, definitely, and the team know what they're doing. They're really good. It's just that Super bike right now is difficult, and we're not much off. Like, a lot of the time, half a second to a second a lap off in Superbike, but that's the back of the grid. The full grid are within a second. And to get them extra bits is like, 10 grand factory swing arm, like aftermarket swing arm.
Yeah.
It'll give you 0.1 or 0.2, and then, a bit of data here and there, 0.1, 0.2, something else, 0.1, 0.2, the forks, the right setting. Like, they're made up of these tiny fractions because every single rider is so strong.
Yeah.
And every team is so good that them tiny things make the difference. And I believe that's the case as well at the TT now. We all seen Hickey, what we were talking about before, with struggling with the brake issue. How he solved it with his data on his bike. They'd like to not run data at the TT in case something gets damaged or there's more things to go wrong. So they take it off. They put all the data when they knew they were struggling with the brake issue. They put the data all back on the bike for a morning warm-up session, did a lap, came back in, solved the issue.
Right.
And that it's not as easy as that.
Yeah.
But with all that equipment,
you can see the
with
answer.
the data guys, the electronics guys, they can figure it out. And they figured it out, went out the next race, no issue anymore. They helped the bike massively. And, we just don't have that facility. The budget, whatever it may be, it's so tough to compete when you get to that level. And, you there or thereabouts. But to win now, 10 years ago might have been a bit different, but the level's so high. Everybody's seen the lap times, what's going on at the TT. It's insane. And the level what all them riders are riding to, all of us riders are riding to, like, I rode hard. Like, I've not got to that level yet, and I didn't feel like I rode hard in 22. Like, I relatively cruised around. Like, I wasn't anywhere near my limit. Was, steady away. And I tried, 600 races I tried hard this year to do. I was like few seconds shy of the old lap record on the 600, and then them top three boys all smashed the lap record. Two of them going into 130s, which is just like, it's absolutely insane. And my bike's Honda's the sort of same thing. It's been the same thing for a lot of years now, and I think the Triumph that Hickey's on and them Yams have just crept them steps forward, that they've got something else now, and you need that extra little bit, I think.
And that CBR is at its limit, that 600.
I know I was at my limit on that on that second race, the first race we ran the old style tires, still treaded tires, different size. And I had it in my, and I was like, I can't get any more out of that. We need, everybody's moved to the slicks now. It's a different size, a different compound, everything. I was like, we got to go with that. We've never tested it. Clive didn't want to run it because we'd never tested it, never ran them, anything like that. I'm like, just put them on. We got to do what everybody else is doing, or as close as. Put them on, and it was a chunk better for sure. But I pushed hard, and Hickey caught me in that second 600 race. I actually repassed him. Like, I felt bad doing it because I knew he'd be in the battle for the win and so I followed him through a lot of the track. I'm trying to think where he passed me now. Like, it was early on in the lap. I possibly let him by somewhere. Early, like maybe out of the pits or something like that. And anyway, followed him all the way and passed him near Balacry, because I'd like the whole way there, I'd like followed him, but I was a lot quicker. And then Ginger to Ramsey, where we struggled on whole bikes for stability, to be honest. Ginger to Ramsey suffered, which is set up not necessarily the motor, and then going up the hill, the Honda lacks torque severely, and just lost that was all the lap time from me. What I did to a 1:30 lap was pretty much the Ramsey to the bungalow.
Yeah.
Going
so it was
up
a massive learning curve,
going up the mountain,
obviously
so
following a different machine, and
learned so much. Seeing different riders, different styles and stuff. I had the opportunity to be behind a few guys during the TT this year, and I am still learning. I'm still learning a lot, but definitely didn't feel like I got to my limits on the big bike, and struggle with them with, as I say, with the stability and the brakes and what have you. But the 600, I learned so much, because I never feel like that's my bike and my class, and everybody looked at me for the 600 race for some reason, because
Northwest
I'd won the Northwest races, which are just battled my heart out for them, to be honest. They were some mega races. I like proper enjoyed them, but I knew that wasn't really like a setting where everybody then after the Northwest was like, 600 races,
Sure,
definitely.
yeah.
And it was like, it's a different thing. The Northwest is a different thing. Being good on the brakes says a lot at the Northwest.
Yeah.
It says nothing at the TT at all.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of my strengths is on the brakes. So doesn't really doesn't count for anything, I don't think, at all at the TT.
No. So David, before we get on to, because I teased it and I thought we were going to get into it, but Steve yanked the carpet just to keep everyone listening on tenterhooks. Is that the right description?
Yeah.
We will get to the future of Davey Todd and where he's going, but just looking back, especially over the past 2 years, it's the first time we've had the Doco No Room for Error. Like, it was a huge success when it came out, and obviously they followed you and a few of the riders in 22 and in 23. Like, the paddock is getting busier and busier with all sorts of media there now. What was it like for you to have a crew kind of following you all day, every day? Because they saw everything.
Yeah, it's mental. It is pretty wild. When I dreamed as a kid of being a motorbike racer, you never expected, to be half part of a reality TV show where they just follow you around 24/7, and it literally is 24/7. I'm sort of half glad that they didn't use a lot of the footage, because they're like knocking on the door early in the morning and I'm still laid in bed. But it's pretty wild. But I think of it like a lot of riders sort of struggle with it, and they're like, I can't be bothered, like, don't want people like wading in while I'm trying to focus on racing or whatever. But I think it's great. Like, honestly, I think it's great to give people an insight of what's going on, and I think someone said the TT this year, and I coming in, I was really frustrated after that Superbike race, and it was not a paddy, but like I was, a bit of shouting just out of frustration, not at anyone.
Yeah.
A bit of shouting going on, and someone had gone, "Oh, what happens if they'd have got that in the documentary?" And I'm like, "Good." Like,
Yeah.
I think that'd be great to see. Like, I was really frustrated and mad at the time, but like,
It's real time.
I want people to see the real thing.
Yeah.
Show them the real thing, because it's mint.
Yeah.
It has its ups and downs, but that's what make it. The lows are low, the highs are high, and they should be able to see all of that. And the more people get to see every detail of that, the more people are going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to, all like spruced up and whatever. Like, give them the reality of it, because it's a crazy sport. Give them it all, and I think it'll, increase the TT fans around the world. I think it already has. The documentary and the more people all the time that are seeing that around the world are like, this like is crazy, and like getting to see it from the inside. And I seen in this year, in 2023, the amount of people who sort of come over on the back of it, having seen it, and never, there was usually everybody you speak to at the TT is like, I've been coming here 20 years, I've been coming here all my life. The amount you hear that is like, majority of the time, that's the answer. And it was really nice. Not that I want those people to not come, but it was really nice this year to the amount of people that come up and they're like, it's our first TT, seen about it last year, and we just thought we've got to go to that. And I mean, people from everywhere, from Asia, Australia, America, like, just caught a glimpse of it on TV, because that's all it's going to take. Like, if you catch a glimpse of it, and people, like, the amount of people that I speak to, and they're like, I've watched it on TV, it's insane. I'm like, go in real life, please. Like, because if you've watched anything about it on TV, on YouTube, wherever you've watched it, yes, it is insane. It's awesome to see, but it is nothing like it is in real life.
Yeah.
Nothing compares to watching the TT in real life and going to the TT as an event, and you will not be disappointed. That sounds like an advert, but like, seriously,
100%.
I say to everyone, like, it's a no-brainer. Like, even if you don't like the look of it, you would never, I don't think you could ever meet a person who's gone to the TT and gone, nah, it was all right. Like,
Never happens.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's literally not possible.
I met a guy, so I left the TT, went straight to Austria to do this presenting gig for a cycling thing. And this guy comes up to me and went, "You're the guy from YouTube, aren't you, for the TT?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." And I was expecting him to be like, massive TT fan, I've been. And he was like, "I just happened to come across it on YouTube. I have no idea what it is." And I started watching it, and I've already booked for next year. Me and my sons are going.
Yeah, lovely.
He couldn't wait to go. And he was like, it was just chatting to me for hours about it. But that's it. Is if we don't have, like, the documentary, your YouTube channel, the socials about it, then, no one will hear about it. But we are getting this brand new fan base to the TT all because of that. And
I shot down into Douglas one evening. It's like you're flat out all day with the film
Pictures
inside, and
and stuff,
then obviously we do the podcast in the evening, the daily. And so you struggled to get something to eat. Anyway, I shot down to get a pizza from a takeaway place, and I'm eating it inside. And
Tell you, I'm not on racing
there's
diet
a big gang of there's a big gang of Spanish lads in there, and I got chatting to them and just had a quick word. They didn't know who I was, and I said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And they said, "Oh, we've come from south of Spain with basically 3 ferries. It's a long flipping way. It's 1,500 miles, just because they've seen it on TV and said we had to come and view it." Incredible, eh?
It's absolutely amazing. But the reason people tuned in for this podcast, top and bottom of it, is they want to know what the future of Davey Todd is. I mean, the news will be out by now, so don't feel like that this is an exclusive.
What, is he getting married?
He's getting married. This is the moment. Yeah. Propose to her. Come on.
Oh, don't
Here
drop
we
me
go.
into that one.
Oh, you just bought a house.
Mrs.
Well,
Todd, here we go. Yeah.
It's all part and parcel, isn't it?
I don't need any more. I don't need any more pressure on that front.
Toddy getting his wings clipped.
Oh.
But as Steve always says, don't eat wedding cake. It's the wedding
Ever.
cake.
Don't. It spoils everything.
It's the wedding cake. That's what he says. I don't know.
Never touch
I
the
can't
wedding.
eat
If it
cake
happens,
anyway. So
good luck.
Perfect. But in all seriousness, what is the future? Tell us.
It's the first time I've said it. It's weird to talk about, but really excited about it, to be honest. Really excited to announce be riding a BMW.
Woo!
The fastest bike around the TT. So it's really exciting to join the Taz squad and get going really for the remainder of this year, or a little bit of a remainder of this year. A couple of rounds and
in British Superbike
and World Endurance, and then all set up and ready to go for Superbike and Northwest TT, everything.
Hold on one second then. Does that mean if you're racing British Superbike, this is your boss? Or not? How does that work?
Wow, I don't know.
You wouldn't think I'm old enough to be his boss, would you?
No. You what?
Correct answer.
Really? All right, okay.
Yeah, no, it's good to have him on board. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm a fan, and I think realistically, TT and BSB is a man of the future. There's a lot to learn yet, as he's well aware.
Yeah.
But, it's obviously Taz Racing. They're a very, very, very successful team. They've won many British championships, not superbike wise yet, but every other championship, and they've won a massive amount of TTs with a huge history. So it's
But you also said they're World Endurance as well. What's the score with that then?
So not even sure if I get to ride yet, but I've got a really cool opportunity to join the factory BMW team for Boldor 24 Hour as the fourth rider. But because of that, it means I miss Alton Park and Cadwell. But it's a really cool opportunity, and the team are fully supported me going to do that and getting that opportunity to go testing with the World Endurance team and possibly get to ride. I think there's a slim chance, but
So you might ride the 24 hours.
maybe. I've never rode anything. I've never done an endurance before, but I love riding.
You'll be fine.
Ride forever, yeah. Suits me down to the ground.
We spoke about it on some podcast before, haven't we? About because you've done a lot of endurance. So the best man to talk to is here, right?
Yeah, I've done quite a few years, probably 12, 14 years World Endurance for various teams, factory teams, and I love it. I'm really passionate about it. I love it to bits, and it's great, if, for instance, Le Mans 24 hours, always Easter weekend in April, and it's a massive, massive, massive amount of mileage with all the testing days and the build-up on race week and then through to qualifying and compulsory night practice that. This is before the 24-hour even starts, so it's a massive amount of mileage, and I think it's a great place to go. TT's an endurance as well, obviously.
Yeah.
6-lap superbike race especially, but you get to learn to ride around problems, different issues within a race, and still be very competitive and do good lap times. It's just a good place to be, and it's another discipline to be fast at and to learn.
Do you think obviously the route to the TT now is everybody goes to British Superbike or Superstock to get as much mileage as they can to stay sharp on the bikes? Do you think riding endurance, especially if it's somewhere like Easter weekend, do you think that would help towards the TT or not? Like you say, riding around problems,
definitely. Yeah, I mean, a massive amount on the mileage. There's so many variations as well for all the teams, Obviously, there's a huge amount that can go wrong because it's whether it be rider error or fatigue or mechanical issues. There's so many things that can go wrong, and every team says, "Oh, if only that hadn't have happened, we'd have been here, we'd have been there." But finish first you got to finish. It's the famous saying, but it's more so in world endurance. Massively.
A lot of guys used to do it though, like McGuinness and Cam Donald. Like there's like a bunch of the TT guys always did the.
Well, it's TT legends. Honda had a strong input, and they pushed in that championship for a few years. I was there at the beginning and then with John and McCam and Keith Moore was there, and but for me, I think it's brilliant and perfect, especially for a road racer.
Yeah. So moving into 2024, what are your targets? Obviously, it's TT, but is World Endurance a target? BSB, not British Superstock. We're going straight back into BSB.
Yeah, back into BSB, which is really exciting. Hopefully, hit the ground running after doing the last couple of rounds this year. But TT is always a massive goal, and the roads as well. And honestly, whatever I can do racing wise, I love everything. If the team want to put me in a few motocross races and supermoto, I'll do that as well. So
yeah,
I love riding motorbikes. So superbikes is a massive goal for sure. But I want to be up there. I want to be competing at the TT. I still want to challenge for race wins at the TT. So mega excited about that as well. And just the whole package. It's really exciting.
Yeah, that's it. It's a difficult one because, like you say, you've had such good experiences with Clive and the Paget's team, and you've always said it's been a family unit when you've been there. But I wouldn't necessarily say you've outgrown, but when you see Hickey on that bike, although Hickey is the best rider, that bike is clearly head and shoulders above everything else at the minute. And you feel like you need to be on that if you want to get to where those two boys are, Hickey and Dunlop, kind of Harrison area. Yeah,
I think it's something everybody sees and talks about, the speed traps, and sure, it's not everything, but there was only Michael Dunlop that was sort of over 192 through Sulby speed trap. Everybody else sub that. Most of the time I was 189 or something.
Yeah.
Hickey, I don't think, went through at a time lower than 200 mile an hour.
Free speed, isn't it? Free money.
You just get free seconds off your lap time. There's a lot of straights. There's a lot of time that you are flat out on a bike around the TT course. So if every straightaway you gained a second, that's a lot of lap time. I'm not saying you're going to gain a second, but it's
for doing nothing as well.
There's a lot in that, and then you see him going well at BSB as well. Haslam's riding really good, and it's a hard championship, and it changes every single weekend, doesn't it? But I think it's a really strong package, and it's only getting stronger all the time. There's got to be half a reason Top Rack's jumped off a Yamaha and is getting on a BMW next year.
I went to Instagram on the TT account, and there's loads of questions here for you. So I'm going to fire a few of these at you, if that's all right.
Yeah.
What's the nicest sounding bike on the TT grid?
RCV, I think everybody loves, don't they?
Nice.
And there's nothing that sounds like that. It sounds like a MotoGP bike. So
take this as you will. I don't know if this is an insult or not. How many wins have you got?
Where?
Well, that's it. It doesn't say. It just says how many wins you got.
In general. Yeah, a lot of wins in general, since I won a lot of 50cc races as a kid and motocross.
All right, fair. What's the best advice John McGuinness has ever given you?
I couldn't put that live on. I couldn't put this on a podcast.
If it starts to bleed, get it checked.
John, I couldn't say one thing because he's given me so much incredible advice. Like he's in every area, from racing, teams, sponsors, to just real life and what you do. And the biggest thing that I see from John is that I just want to be the same as him at his age. When I get to that age, I want to be the same as him. Not in the sense of the wins, or definitely in the sense of the wins, but like, I don't mean it in that sense. I mean, like, people keep talking about him stopping the TT or whatever else. He loves riding motorbikes still. You know, whether it's motocross, enduro, supermoto, superbikes at BSB, or wherever else. Like, he loves riding motorbikes. I go up his house, we just mess around for days. I go up for an hour or something and end up staying for 3 days or something, because you pull speedway bikes out, rip them around the field, then go. He's like a big kid. Right, we'll get the pit bikes out now and make a track for the pit bikes. And, you know, he's 51 years old and just loves motorbikes still, like I do now. And I never want to lose that. I want to be like that then. If I can still enjoy it as much then.
100%.
Sold.
Do you follow TT on TikTok?
No.
Oh.
I do have TikTok, but I don't use it.
Last one before Steve's. Keep the mullet
I
or
love it.
shave it if it meant you could win a TT.
Yeah, I shave it. Yeah. That's not even a question.
Oh, but you do love it,
I
though,
shave
mate.
my head for winning the TT.
You do love it.
Everything.
Steve, over to you, mate.
Right, you've done these before. Last time, different questions. One or the other. No explanations.
No explanation at all.
Lager or real ale?
Gluten-free lager.
Motocross or supermoto?
Motocross.
Traditional English breakfast or fruit and yoghurt? Fry up or fruit and
I
yoghurt?
can't eat either.
Ooh.
Vegan something or other.
Saltburn by Sea or the Isle of Man?
Oh. Isle of Man.
TT win or a BSB win?
TT.
Stetson or a beanie hat?
Stetson.
Ginger Hall to Ramsey or bungalow to Cronknamona?
Bungalow to Cronk for sure.
McGuinness or McGrath?
Oh, don't do me like that. I can't not say it, John.
McGuinness or McGrath?
McGuinness. Like, I'm not.
You told me that he was a massive McGrath fan.
Nobody show McGrath this, please.
Log's sake.
McGrath really should.
Right, next one. Hydro series or Hydro Extreme series?
Oh, Hydro Extreme.
Google it.
I can't remember. X50.
You need it.
What is it?
Last one. Last
You need. You,
Oh!
Bathmate.com. Bathmate Direct. Google it.
you will be grateful.
Young, free
Promise.
and single or married with kids?
It's married with kids, obviously, but I'm not getting married anytime
Why have you got
soon.
why have you got your fingers crossed under that?
She's going to leave me after this.
Perfect.
Hey, thanks, mate. Thank you.
Sorry, Davey. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, mate. So the cat's out of the bag. Davey Todd is going to be riding a BMW at next year's TT. I don't want to. It's a difficult one because I've seen how the Paget's team work. Such a great team, but you feel like Davey needs to kind of almost spread his wings now. He's done his apprenticeship, let's say, with Clive, and I feel like potentially Davey's gone as far as he could with the Pagets while they're on the Honda, because you know you look to that BMW and it feels like he needs to be on it to move up towards where Hickey is.
Yeah, of course. You know, Paget's done an incredible job. British Championship and on the roads with Davey, and as always, Clive's got a massive history at the TT, and hopefully that will continue. But yeah, it's on to pastures new, and the good thing is he sounds pumped,
Stoked,
year.
as he might say. But I don't want to take anything away from Clive, because it's like you're saying that he's been in a second division team and now he's stepping up to the Premiership, but it's not. It's Like Clive's outfit is phenomenal.
I've ridden for Clive.
Yeah,
It's brilliant.
yeah.
It really is. You know, the team have won 5 TTs in a week.
Yeah, you can never forget that, can you? Blooming hell, yeah. But what we're going to see from him, that's the thing. If he goes in there, if he goes to TT in 2024 with the confidence, what's going to stop him from getting a win?
There's no telling what we're going to see.
So that's it for this episode of the TT podcast. If you've enjoyed it, obviously you can't leave a rating on YouTube or TT Plus, so why not head over to Spotify, iTunes, or wherever else you listen to your TT podcast and leave us a little rating and a review. Steve, we're going to be back next week with Rob Hodson.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, we've already recorded it because here's a clip.
My first crash would have been, I think that might have been at Darley Moor, yeah. And I was getting carried away.
I'd say learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a really good start, and because that was always brilliant off the line, and I must have been right up front with the GP bikes and went up from up through the top S's and got passed by a few lads, and I just don't think I shut off for the left-hander or something, and it's fast around there, whatever you're on, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
always
I threw it in, and it was the first lap. My tyres must have been a bit cold, and it came right round on me and flicked me off and just proper sparked me outside. I can't remember why, but
So even from an early stage in your career, you had your excuses sorted out.
oh, it was I slipped on a cig packet or something like that.
Yeah.
And the first place you can watch that is right here on TT Plus, 1 week earlier than the audio version. And who wouldn't want to see our beautiful faces, eh, Steve? What are you laughing at?
Hour.
Ours, yeah. All right, yours. Right, until next time. Toodles.
Cheers, mate.